flexing, rolling through the SWAT. Repping for the city, hear him in the parking lot. Houston written across the jersey, ain't gon' never stop. Just fans got me tuning in, waiting for the drop. Astros, Texas, Rockets, Dynamo, they coming with it. When they pull up, got the city sitting on a fitted. Straight up A-Leaf, hold it down, ain't gon' never quit it. Just fans got me tuning in, let my dogs get it. Southwest A-Leaf, Texas, throw down here and it's so infectious. We ride for the Houston Astros, Rockets, Dynamo, and them Texans.
What's up, everybody? It's Carlos, your host of the Just Fans podcast. Thank you for joining us on this Monday evening. We got the one and only Rios in the house. How's it going, Rios?
I'm just happy to be here and happy the Astros are finally doing well.
There you go. There you go. And, of course, we couldn't have anybody else talk about the Astros on our show. Then we got the one and only El Gringo Loco. We got HtownWheelHouse in the house. What's up, H-Town?
Not much, man. How you doing? Thanks for having me on. It has been a minute since we've been on. And, you know, the last time we talked, I think, you know, a couple things have changed for me. You know, I'm still with Locked On Astros. We're still crushing there. But I started a new podcast called Back to the Bullpen, and Rams shirt sponsors our show. And we have a local barbershop called State of the Art Barbershop. My guy, Ever Cruz, knows how to cut the hair very well. Very nice to get you high and tight. And so, man, myself and Mike Stanton are killing it over there at Back to the Bullpen.
Man.
It's still a great time to talk Astros, but we got to give the Texans their druthers, man. I mean, this team is now the talk of the NFL, not just the town, but man, I mean, I'm excited about football season. And I think for a second year in a row, the excitement is just going to get better and better as we get closer to the football season, right?
You know, you said it yourself, Brett. The Texans have become the talk of the town, and we've been focusing a lot on the Texans lately. I think for the last, it's been even before the draft, right, Rios? It's been a good while.
Oh, yes. Basically, since baseball season ended back in the end of October.
Yeah, we focused a lot on the Texans. We haven't done much Astros content, which was like, you know what, we need to have Brett on because we haven't really done much Astros content in a minute. And, you know, obviously the season didn't start off as well as it should have. And now, you know,
That's an understatement.
Understatement, yeah. And then, you know, now that we're back, you know, I want to say that the Astros are, you know, heading towards the right direction right now. That's why I called it the state of the Astros. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, hey, man, we started off, again, like Rio said, as an understatement, pretty bad or in the wrong foot. And now we're what, 4 games away? Is that what it is?
We are 4 games out of first. We're about 5 games out of 5 away from 500 right now as we speak. The top of the 8th inning, the Yankees are beating the Mariners 3-1, so that's a good thing.
That helps.
The Astros are winning 4-1 as we record this podcast, and I think the Rangers might have a day off because I don't see them on the scoreboard. But Seattle is the division leader right now. And look, if you're gonna have a year where you're down to start the year, this has got to be the year. This has got to be it because your division leader is only 3 games over 500. And so Seattle will fall to 25-23 unless they get a comeback. And then the Astros will be 3.5 out of first. And then if they win tonight, they'll only be 3 games out of first. And we've got the Angels. Then we've got one more series against the Oakland A's in Oakland. And then we go to Seattle. And that's going to be a big series because we very much could be tied with them or just up them. And there's a potential for that series. If they win, they go up a half game. If we win, we tie. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like it could jockey back and forth for a couple games. So we are sizing up to have a pretty formidable opponent in the Mariners here in a couple weeks. But I like where the team is right now, and I like where we're trending.
So let me ask you real quick. What do you think has attributed or could it be multiple things that is attributed to the Astros heading towards the right direction? Do you have anything that you feel like, hey, this is the moment when the Astros changed and the trajectory? Or can you pinpoint a moment where the Astros changed their trajectory? Or do you think it's just, hey, it's part of just all of it coming together?
Right. So I think it's an excellent question. Mike Stanton and I actually tackled this last night on our latest Back to the Bullpen. And even a couple shows ago, 2 shows ago, he was like, they have to get to the place to where there's a sense of urgency.
Right.
And Mike said what I think switched was there was a sense of urgency. Look, when you send a former MVP to a Florida complex league, and then you have other guys that are struggling and you're getting the hits, but you're not scoring the runs, you're being competitive, but you're getting beat in every which way you can. The urgency caught up to Bregman. The urgency caught up. And look, now you have Tucker. Look, you have 3 guys right now that could be in the top 5 for player of the month at the end of May. And Jake Myers, Jeremy Pena, Kyle Tucker. And you can also mention Jose Altuve, because the only, like, they're 3rd and 4th. I think they're 4th and 5th in hits.
Right.
He and Ohtani are 1st and 3rd. You've got I forget who was slipped in there between them. I think it's Contreras.
Oh, I bet Ohtani's up there.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, man. I mean,
I put money on it.
But
Let me get my translator. Hold up.
There you go. No, but my thing is, what changed is I think a sense of urgency, and I would rather them go through that now and get it behind them than this come up during August or July, where it's harder to dig yourself out. And right now, we're dominating the AL West. And as long as we dominate our division, as long as we can win the series against both the Mariners and the Rangers and stay up top, I think our chances are up. It is still going to be difficult, I think, throughout the year, because we have issues with arms, with different things like that, injuries, guys coming back. Our guys going to be consistent contributors, and that's what you need. But dude, I just looked at Josh Hader's numbers, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But Josh Hader has been vastly improved over the last 10 games.
That's true. That's true. Rios, you got anything about? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had mentioned a few weeks ago, people were writing the Astros off. I'm like, this team has too much talent for them to just be written off this early into the season. We were like 20, 30 games in the year. People were done. I'm like, guys, let them get healthy, let them get back into their groove, and I said by summertime they'll be back at 500 and leading the AL West, and we're almost in summer, and we're four games out of first.
Yeah, exactly. And Jake Myers was my breakout performer of the year. I said he was going to come out and absolutely dominate, and he actually has. He's come out and he's dominated, and he's doing everything he can to say, I'm the center fielder, because right now Chaz is still nursing that injury. They're still trying to bring him back. He's not full strength yet. He's not ready to come back to the big leagues, but it's going to be hard to pry that center field spot out of Jake Myers' hand. I mean, he's starting again tonight.
Right. I felt I agree with you on that.
He's our second best hitter. He's almost at 1,000 OPS. So like, who has that in their bingo card?
and that's a big that's a difference maker too. I think that adds on to it, because at like Real said right now, that wasn't my bingo card. Did anybody really see Jake Myers getting up that high at the beginning of the season?
His average is right below Altuve's. I'm like,
exactly. So
where's it for the last 2 years?
There has been a change in Jake Myers, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, hasn't he been practicing with I had heard this, I might be wrong here, with Brantley, or I might be wrong here with somebody else. He was practicing with somebody.
Yeah, I don't know who he's been working with, but I know that he has responded to constant playing time.
That's right.
Anytime a player can get their confidence and their feet out from and their feet under them, that does, when you have the natural ability but you don't have any confidence, it doesn't matter what you do or what you're able to do. But when you put the mental aspect into it, and so this is the third GM that has put their confidence in Jake Myers.
Right.
I mean, they've had 3 different GMs put their confidence in Jake Myers, and maybe it's time for us as Astros Nation to recognize that, Jake Myers may not have the best arm in the outfield, but he has absolutely earned the spot. He can track down a ball. And he can hit the ball really far. Yeah,
exactly. And I think him contributing has actually helped has been one of the things that has helped elevate this team in a different direction as well. John Singleton is another guy that has stepped up incredibly, and then on first base as well. Like, the Astros sent a guy like Jose Abreu, who obviously, I'm sure that wasn't an easy task to do, because overall, what you're paying him, and and I feel like it just makes the organization look a little like, well, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like you have to swallow that pill at some point, and I think that's what they did. And honestly, and it's no disrespect at all to Jose Abreu, it's just that it's what the team needed at the time. And now there is talk about Jose Abreu returning. What's your take on that, Brett? What do you think? Would you rather at the moment let Singleton stay where he's at, because he's getting pretty good at where he's at right now? He's been I would like to say a pretty good first baseman even with the hits as well, and in first base. And
Yeah.
I know that when we saw Jose Abreu out there, I mean, he was making easy, and I'm saying easy like I'm really good at first base, but like like for his position,
routine plays.
Yeah, like just like easy misses, something that you don't really see Jose Abreu do. What do you think? How do you feel about that? About Jose Abreu coming back?
So I think there is a sense of urgency for the club to validate Jose Abreu and to show that he's quote unquote back. I mean, I just watched his first at bat today at the Florida Complex League. It wasn't good. Ended in a strikeout. Looked like he was still swinging at stuff off the plate.
Right.
Now, just because he's going through a rehab assignment doesn't necessarily mean he's going to come back and hit everything thrown at him, right? So I'm not expecting perfection, but in sports, you typically have a guy. If a guy wins the job and you lose it because of an injury or whatever, you've got to earn it back. I would bring him back on a platoon basis. I would look up matchups. I would say, okay, this guy favors Jose Abreu is a favorable matchup against this guy. But the next 2 games are definitely Singleton. So, hey, Jose, we're going to get you in there. If we have a late inning pinch hit situation where we feel like we need you to come in there, then we'll do that. But I wonder if they're also thinking, and I don't know, I have no insider on this, but I'm wondering if they bring him up and if they immediately put him at the starting position and they bench Singleton, I wonder if they're like, let's let this guy go out there and do everything he can. And if he just can't do it, we'll just cut bait and say, see you later, Jose Abreu. I mean, that's a very possible scenario. Right now, anything's on the table, but I think there's some people with their egg with some egg on their face because of this move. And one of those guys is Jeff Bagwell. I mean, one of the most beloved athletes of all time in Houston sports history. And look, I mean, everybody criticizes Bagwell as if they would have, I don't know, like for me to act like I know more than a guy who hit 3,000 hits and is in the Hall of Fame is really kind of insane. Right. But at the same time, the critical eye towards Jose Abreu is only there because of what he has produced or has not produced.
Right. Like at that point, you think to yourself, well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I liked that signing when it first happened. I really did. I was
everybody did.
Yeah. Everybody did.
I think
former MVP.
Right, former MVP, and you would think, okay, you're moving into a championship caliber team, which is the Astros when he moved, when he got here, and then it's like, well, why not put him in the mix or whatnot? Same thing that I felt with Josh Hader came in over here. I've had the same excitement, but last season, we saw some of the, I guess, some of what was happening at the beginning of the season. It was just kind of like rolling down slowly or whatnot, but then I don't know. Some people saw it, and then it was just like, okay. Then eventually he kind of picked it up a little bit towards the postseason.
Yeah.
And then it was like stagnant. And then this season, when Dana Brown and Espada said, well, we're gonna give him more breaks this year than we did last season, so that he can hit better or whatever, or his performance is better.
Right.
Okay. To me, I was like, all right, sure, whatever works, right? And then now we're in, May, and he's at the Florida complex. Like, I don't think anybody really expected that to happen.
No, not at all. Rios, what is your take? How much of this, like, if they end up cutting bait with Jose Abreu, does Jeff Bagwell lose his senior advisor to the GM position? You know what I'm saying? Does he kind of not get canned, but kind of unofficially move back into an ambassador role?
I could see them taking a little bit of power away from him because him and Creighton have a lot of egg in their face because they were the big ones that pushed for signing Abreu. And I feel like both of them are wanting to bring him back a little bit early because he hasn't really played that much as far at the Florida complex. But they're trying to bring him because they're trying to justify paying him all that money. Like, hey, you know what? We gotta, we can't take a loss on this. We gotta show that he still can, be productive. And maybe he's not going to live up to his contract, but if he can at least be a productive first baseman, that's a win for the Astros. But the way Singleton's playing right now, I think it's more of a detriment bringing Abreu back because you're taking up another body on the bench, and who do you send down to Sugarland at this point?
Yeah. I think Cabbage is your odd man out. I think if you're talking pitchers, I think Eric Getty's always your first man that goes down just because of length of time in the big leagues. To me, that's those are things that you're gonna have to look at, and I think Cabbage, like I said, him, Gray is Gray still up? Is Gray Kessinger still up, or is he back down in AAA? Because I can't recall if because they have played him so little this year. I've actually lost track of him off the top of my head.
I think he's still in Sugarland.
Okay, because I wasn't sure where he was right now. But anyways, you've got some options to move guys down, and I think right now with the Houston Astros, if you bring him up, I don't think John Singleton's going to be destroyed if you take him out of the starter role, but I think at the most you give him a platoon role. I mean, I don't think you reinsert Abreu as a starter. I wouldn't do that, but that's me.
Yeah.
No, agreed.
Yeah, no, 100%. So yeah, I mean, and John Singleton doesn't really strike me as a guy that I feel like will get, like, what's the key word? His feelings hurt, for lack of a better word, I guess. I mean, there was an article in The Athletic that made me laugh just by the title of it. It said, John Singleton has the best pimp job in the league. And perspective he never had as a prospect. Like, I'm sorry, that's the coolest name. That's the coolest headline I've seen in an article.
Right.
And so, like, yeah, I don't think it strikes me like as like he would get hurt. But you put up a great point. What if the Astros bring him back, let him start, and then see where he goes from there? And decide, hey, is it really time? Like, add a sense of urgency, I guess you would say to him at this point. I mean, yeah, you send him down to Florida complex, but now it's like, all right, it's time to shine. If you can, then finally, I think it's time that they're like, well, I guess it's time to go. As I hate to say it, because I really do. I'm a big fan of Jose Abreu myself.
No, I agree with Brett. Like, I think this is his last chance. If he, sings it up and he's just consistently hitting at the double plays, missing routine flyouts. I mean, I think they're going to just take the loss on that one. At what point is enough enough?
Yeah, exactly. No, that's the thing. Oh, look, Poppy is here.
Poppy's here. Let me try to put him in. Hold on 1 second.
Don't let him in.
Wow. Maybe that was him outside my window.
Yeah, I was just stalking you.
No,
we're talking about it. One of his guys that was doing his lawn.
Oh wow, we're going full on racist.
Oh yeah, we went all in now.
No, they said that, not me. They're like,
on film. That's
I go. I think there's somebody outside my window mowing my lawn, and they're like, that's where Poppy is. I'm like,
he wasn't here.
It's his side gig.
Honestly, that doesn't mean anything. Maybe he's just trying to get some extra pay somewhere. See, everybody over here thinking wrong.
Hustling, bro. Hustling. Get that bag.
He was writing the script for the next HEB commercial.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, I saw that commercial with Jeremy.
Dude, I think that's the best one, but they better have a part 2 to it.
Huh?
Cometa.
I hate every single one of those commercials every time I see my colors on it.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
Where are
every time I see him on it, it's like, bro, get the fuck back in rehab.
Like, what are you doing?
Oh, you can act, but your hands aren't.
Yeah. You make a mean latte, but no.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't throw a slider without fucking up his shoulder. Fuck.
Wow, man, Poppy bringing the heat.
Yeah, no.
Dude, I'm so pissed off at my colors.
I hear you. Well, he is kind of like our Anthony Rendon.
Yeah.
You know, did you hear Anthony Rendon at the beginning of the season say that the season needs to be shorter?
All right, get
Yeah, I
out.
mean,
Yeah, I'm
when
like,
when
what?
you're
Yeah.
old, when you're
It's
old,
like
you
20
would think
games so
that.
you can play like a softball league or something.
Hey,
Let's make
Poppy.
it. Let's make it 20 games.
There you go, 20 games.
Hey, Poppy. You had I know you have an opinion about this one. We were just talking about Jose Abreu. You
Okay.
know,
Your favorite player?
no, I remember when the Astros signed him. I know that you were a little bit on the fence about it.
No, I was very skeptical.
Yeah,
Very
he was
skeptical.
skeptical. So we were just kind of talking about, like, you know what? He's at the Florida complex, right? And there's a possibility that he might come back soon or whatnot. But we were talking about whether he could be in the starting role. And then, well, Brett brought up a great point. Like, well, if they do put him in a starting role, right? Is it going to be that time where the Astros are like, well, if you can't perform now, it's time for you to leave.
Hit the road, Jack.
Hit the road.
Here's what I'll say, and I'll be a little bit more in depth in a second. But he goes off to Florida. We start winning. A lot of the problems with the Astros was that we were letting a lot of people on base. Because you look at the averages, offensively, we're actually pretty good.
Oh,
not,
yeah.
Not the best team out there, but we're
Top 5 in
definitely,
hitting.
yeah, exactly. We're definitely towards the top. And, he goes, and we called up the young guy who's been doing decent, right? And suddenly we start winning. I'm not saying like it's because that he's gone. I feel like the team altogether, they're getting it together just now. But even when we got him, Carlos, I remember you saying like, oh, he's a former MVP. He's gonna just help the lineup or whatever. And I told you, if we were just gonna pay all this money to an agent star, I would have much rather just keep Gurriel, who was one of the clutchest guys in this lineup. If between him and Uncle Mike, like I feel like they held that middle of the lineup together, and Uncle Mike going down with injury and eventually retiring, and Gurriel just being let go for Abreu, who don't get me wrong, has some good moments in the Astros, but ever since he came over here, he's had slumps, and not like a week-long slump. He's had horrible months since he's been an Astro. He's had some really good stretches as well, but for the money he was getting, for the amount of hype he was getting, I was like, honestly, this could have been used somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
And now we're seeing, right, like he started the year, like the whole team, like especially on the pitching side, the whole team started horribly, and then on the offensive side, he reminds me of Machete in previous years. But you don't expect that from your first baseman. You want like a little bit of power there. You don't have to bat 300, but damn, he was batting like 0.75 before they finally setting them down.
Yeah, he wasn't even hitting his jersey number, which is actually pretty high, 79.
Yeah, like he wasn't even doing that.
He's got the jersey number of a lineman from the NFL.
Yeah. They could have put me out there.
Couple zeros.
And I'm pretty sure I would have gone on base the same amount of times he did.
I would have just leaned into a few pitches.
Yeah, dude, I'm hugging that plate like.
Right. I'm getting on base one way or another.
Funny.
So I don't know, man. Like, even when he does come back, because he will, he's a big name. People love him. He will come back. I feel like whether he performs or not, I don't think he should be brought back after that. Like next year, we're talking like we need to move on from that.
You just got to eat that. You just got to eat that contract. I mean, you're just gonna have to. And but you know what? Speaking of money and speaking of contracts, and Kyle Tucker's price just rises. It's rising faster than inflation under Biden. I mean, it is going nuts. It is going nuts right now. So
and we need to pay that, man.
Yeah,
They need to pay
We
him.
cannot afford to do another Astros and just let the really, like, you look at him and Jordan is like 1A, 1B. Some days, especially this season, Tucker's been looking more like 1A.
Yeah.
And we gave this money to Altuve, which he deserves it. He's a legend. We want him to stay here. But from the beginning of the season, I've always said the priority was to keep Tucker. Should be to keep Tucker, because we got Jordan locked up for a few more years. We got some of the guys locked up for a few more years. Some of the pitching staff, hit or miss.
Yeah, look, I'll tell you this. Framber Valdez, I honestly don't know that we get more out of him than what we've gotten out of him.
Yeah.
I think he's a very high value tradable asset. If you're going to trade anybody and you're going to get something back for them, it's going to be him, and I don't know if it's mid-season. I don't know if it's after the season. I don't know when you do that. And I don't know if now you're putting yourself squarely in the playoff picture that you would trade away one of your best pitchers, one of your top pitchers. But before he hits free agency, you would like to get some value out of him. I mean, I love Framber when he's at his best, but I don't know that he's going to do any more than what he has done. And it's very possible that someone like Ronel Blanco, I'm not saying he's Framber Valdez, but you have Ronel Blanco, and he doesn't have a lot of tread off those tires. He is an older player, but he hasn't pitched that much. I love Ronel Blanco.
The biggest problem with that is that with trading Framber is that not a lot of the rest of the pitchers have stepped up, right? So if we were to trade away Framber Valdez for like depth or stuff like that, Hunter Brown has been pretty bad.
Yeah, he just not been a starter.
It's not what it was expected. I think the expectation for Hunter Brown was a little different than what we've seen.
Yeah, like we don't need him to be an ace. We never asked him to be an ace right now. He's still very young, but it's like, my dude. Like every time you
starter, but it's not even that.
Every time you started, I know by the third inning we're gonna be down 4,
3, 4, 5.
It just feels that way. Javier has been super hit or miss. Most misses than anything.
Yeah.
And Verlander is 65. So it's like trading Framber. And no disrespect, Verlander. I love you to death, but my guy.
Because he's listening.
But
he is.
Trading Framber right now, you would only do that if you're not making the playoffs.
If you're completely out. No, right. And hey, I had mentioned this earlier, Carlos. Josh Hader in his last 10 his last 10 outings has a 2-1 record, an ERA of 1.46, 20 strikeouts, 5 saves in his last 10 games. I mean, he's turned it around. The back of the bullpen for the most part has turned it around. Abreu still is kind of hit or miss this year. I don't know. Look, Abreu's just been so dominant. I guess these guys in the back end, they have to crack at some point and fix it, because the league does figure you out.
Yeah.
And it's like my dad said growing up when he was coaching us. He said every time we'd see a guy throwing just gas off the mound, we're like, oh no. My dad's like, oh yes, because the harder the ball comes to you, the farther it flies. And that's just what you're going to see at the back end, is you're going to see a lot of hard contact. And so it's good to see Hader turning that around. And Poppy, we mentioned this earlier. Everybody was on board with Hader. Everybody was on board with Jose Abreu. The second they started going wrong, they're like, see, I told you that was a bad contract. I'm like, you sure didn't say that when they signed him. Now, like,
I said the Abreu thing from the beginning.
He did.
Yeah.
I was actually like, I thought Hader was going to be better. I mean, he has been in the past, like you said, 10 outings, but I thought he was going to be like, okay, we gave up Netties for nothing. Stanek left, Maton left, but Hader should be somebody who maybe eats 2 innings every outing, hopefully, and maybe just doesn't blow the game. The beginning of the year, motherfucker was just giving away runs like crazy. Like Abreu would load up the bases, and then Hader would be like, "You want a grand slam?
Here you go.
What's a meatball? Fucking meatballs left and right." So
you get on base. Everybody
gets on base.
Everybody gets on base.
So it's good to see that he's finally gotten it together. it's good to see that the bullpen as a whole is improving. We just gotta, like, the starters just gotta, get a little bit better about not giving up so many easy runs to start off the game, because then all the heads start going down.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Who did I interrupt?
No, I was just gonna say, if we can get our start.
He doesn't matter. It's fine, bro.
Right. Now, I was gonna say, if we can get our starters get at least 6 innings. That should keep us in most games.
I'll take 5. I'll take 5 innings. I'll take 5 innings of
especially if it's under Brown. We got games usually over by the second inning. I'm like, bro, how?
He was being taken out by the third inning. A lot of his first outing. I'm like, dude, might as well just put him in the bullpen. If he's just gonna give you a couple of innings, just leave him in the bullpen.
Right. And one of the things that I've noticed with this team is they really have hit this stride lately where it doesn't matter who they're playing. You remember where there were a couple seasons where they would play bad teams and they would get crushed.
Yes.
And then they play good teams and beat them. Well, right now they're beating good and bad teams. I mean, Remember when we won the 2 games in Mexico City against the Rockies? Oh, it's the Rockies. Anybody can beat the Rockies. And then
the Rockies are killing it.
Yeah.
They're killing it.
And then we beat the Guardians. Oh, well, that's the Central.
Yeah.
And then, and then we beat this team. Then we beat that team. And it's like, wow, I mean, this club, I would say right now the Yankees are playing the best ball in the American League. Mm-hmm. I think Juan Soto has been just an injection of energy. It's scary how much he's embraced New York, and I hate the fact that he's probably going to stay there.
Yeah, we saw it coming though. We knew.
Right. No, that's true. He is a big time guy, but I like our guys. I like where we're at. I like that they never panic. I like that Bregman continued to work on his swing until he fixed it. I like that this group never fails to go back to the basics. And I see it down in AAA when I get to go to, like, when they're down there on the field practicing, I watch them take ground balls. I saw Loperfido take, first base after first base practice at several games this year when he was down in AAA. Mm-hmm. And the meticulous work that this club goes into can't be missed or can't be denied, because things had to eventually go right, and things did. And water has found its level. The law of averages has come back in our favor. And I think right now we're slowly become one of the scarier teams in the major leagues, like we thought they would be to begin the season.
Yeah. Another guy, Ryan Presley. What's going on with Ryan Presley? What do you
I'm going to tell you what's going on. My guy is 65.
What's with you at 65? First of all, that's like 20.
I'm very ageist. Okay?
Clearly, yes.
And
I can see that.
My guy, shut the hell up.
How old is Brett?
Hey, I'm 40.
Oh, no, I'm he's ageist.
You're 40 what? I'm sorry?
There you go. See?
I'm 48.
Okay, and you could probably pitch better than Brian Presley has this season.
I don't know.
It's just you could at least find the zone, I bet. You might throw like a 40 mile an hour fastball, but
I don't throw that slow. Come on, man.
Remember when Maldi threw it?
Yeah,
it's just, dude, pitching as a whole has taken such a step back.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can still get some quality starts from Verlander, Javier every now and again. Hell, I'm sure even Hunter Brown has had at least one quality start this year.
Right?
Yeah, this weekend I think he had the last season back.
As a whole, in the last how many games is it? Like almost 50 now? It feels like the whole pitching staff they were just on vacation for the last 2 years.
Now, here's something that's come up. It's not necessarily breaking, but I need it because this brings up I just got a text from my dad, and he said, why are they leaving him in? The Astros are losing 8-6 right now to the Angels. They've scored 7 runs in the 5th. Framber Valdez giving up 10 hits, 8 earned runs, 3 Ks, 3 home runs. My dad said, why are they leaving him in? Well, look, Joe Espada did not warm up Abreu the other day. He didn't give him many warm-up pitches before he went in and he gave up some runs. I have not liked some of the managing of the bullpen. I have not liked some of the moves. I have been very critical of Joe Espada. I had the honor of meeting him before the season, interviewing him at the TriStar Sports Show.
Mm-hmm.
Loved the interview, loved his candor, loved that he looks you in the eye when he talks to you. He answers the question straightforward. He doesn't beat around the bush. Totally respect the man. But there have been things that have happened this year that I'm gone, man. Sometimes I feel like our manager, and I don't know, I know they've got to extend this game, but you allow a guy to give up 7 runs without pulling him before that. I mean, to me, if you get to a tie ball game, you got to pull the dude. You got to pull the guy when it's tied.
Yeah.
With Framber, especially with Framber,
yeah,
I wouldn't even wait for the game to be tied. Like,
because once he gets rattled,
we were winning. We were winning 6-0, right? Like once it's 6-3 and you already got 4 good innings out of them, just pull them.
Yeah.
Have somebody, like, as soon as the 4th inning is over, just have somebody warming up.
Yeah.
Because they're just not reliable enough at this point.
Yeah.
And you gotta take him off before. I'm sorry. You gotta take him off before, the fire starts spreading, because then that's just flatlines their confidence completely.
Yeah.
Because after giving up 8 unanswered runs or whatever, like, my guy, the next outing, he's not going to come out there with a bar full of confidence.
No, that's it. But the thing, I mean, in this club can come back. This club can come back, and they've done it before. Bregman is 0 for 2 today. He's at the plate as we speak. Alvarez is 2 for 3 today. Altuve has the home run. Dubon has a home run. And so the Astros can come back, but these are games that these starting pitchers absolutely have to have. And I noticed early on in this game that Framber was actually pitching a little faster than I'd liked him to. I don't know if you notice this. The harder he throws, the flatter his pitches are. And when his pitches are flat, he induces a lot of really strong contact. And he can't have that. He's got to have that movement. That's the key to his game.
Yeah, his best pitch in the last couple of years was always, to me at least, that curveball that he would throw like at 83, 84, would swing like from one side of the box to the other. I feel like it got a lot of people, and I don't know what it is now that he just can't locate his pitches anymore. And like you said, he gets frustrated. He starts throwing, 98. I mean, not quite 98, but and then he just
upper
gets rocked.
90s.
Yeah. He just gets rocked.
Yeah. That's not his game, because he's got kind of pitcher that basically throw upper 80s, but don't get a lot of ground outs. So
and
throw into a lot of double plays.
And as a lefty, you're going against righties like 80% of the time. So once they got you figured out, it's not like you get a break with the next batter. Oh, it's a lefty-lefty matchup. No, it's going to be another righty. So it's just harder for him.
So not to switch too many gears, because I know Brett's got to go really quick, and I know you wanted to talk a little bit of Texans. All right, so Brett, I know you kept up a little bit with the Texans, or at least enough, really quick. And what was your take during the offseason? Do you think the Texans have made the right moves during the offseason, or is there some moves that you didn't kind of agree with, or something you did agree with? What did you like best, I guess, about the offseason for the Texans?
Well, I think the moves, the additions they made to their defense and their offense just through free agency, I thought was genius. I like the Stephon Diggs signing because of the money, because it's almost like, hey, you're coming into our house. This is a culture we've created. We've quickly built this house. It's solid, and we're not going to let you screw it up by giving you a 3 or 4 year deal. We know what your past is. We know what you've done in other locker rooms. You know how you've oscillated people here and there. You come in, $3.25 million, whatever you're getting paid, and do your job, and let CJ Stroud give you some touchdown passes, get some tutties here and there. And then you know what? Maybe we'll sign you to a 2 year deal after that. Maybe we'll reward you. But from the tight ends to the wide receivers to the guy we got from the Colts, Danielle. I mean, these players that we've picked up are absolutely phenomenal. And I think D'Amico Ryans and and just all the guys, Will Anderson Jr., CJ Stroud. I think they're just going to continue to build because right now the Houston Texans are a real threat to teams like the Ravens, teams like the Chiefs, because make no bones about it. If Patrick Mahomes gets 6 rings before Tom Brady got 6 rings or gets 7, you know what I'm saying? If he gets rings quicker than Brady, there's all of a sudden another conversation about who the GOAT is. And Patrick Mahomes and that team doesn't look like they're slowing down any. They did a decent job in the draft. I like what the Texans did in the draft overall, but I'm liking going into this season. I like the 1-year trial deal for Stephon Diggs, and who knows, maybe he needs some strong alpha males in his locker room to set him straight. And I think there's no one any better than D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud.
That's good. My one thing is that he seems like a little bit of a diva, but hopefully, like you said, with
You straighten out.
with some strong characters in that locker room, maybe he'll straighten out a little bit.
Huh? There you go.
I mean, he's been putting in the work in the offseason. You see him on Instagram at 1 a.m. working out and doing drills and stuff. So he seems like he's taking it very serious.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I'm not too worried about him.
Yeah, I wasn't too worried either, just because of that, like that too. Like he's actually looks like he's putting in the work, and it's basically an audition for him. You have this year to do well. You want to get paid, but Texans have enough cap space next season to actually do that. Well, guess what? Let's see how you do it. If you do a great job, boom, you get rewarded. If not, then somebody else will probably give you a call or whatever. But at this point, and the Texans have enough. Boy, do they have enough wide receiver depth to take that situation, if anything. So I liked it, and I think Stephon's putting in the work. So I look forward to what happens this upcoming season with the Texans and Stephon Diggs for sure.
Definitely. But hey guys, thanks for having me on. I just want to tell everybody, check me out at Locked On Astros on YouTube. Also check me out at Back to the Bullpen, HtownWheelHouse on TikTok, on Instagram, wherever. Just dude, I'm out there. Look for this face. It's a moneymaker. Don't be jealous.
you don't make too much money.
He's only 25 years old, ladies and gentlemen.
Singles, baby. Singles reigning. Oh, wait. That's not what that means. Okay, never mind.
El Gringo Loco.
I am El Gringo Loco. And I've got to go see my estudiantes at the escuela. So.
Shit, speaking better Spanish than Rios over here, bro. Damn.
Man. Bitch, that's what you did. That's crazy.
Yeah, well. It's like my old Hispanic friend used to say, "Tu cabeza es un gatita."
It's exactly how Rio.
Rio says that all the time.
Rio says it all the time on his first date.
Yeah.
No, you say no persona es más bonita, señorita.
Bars.
Right?
Bars.
That's right, man. Rico Suave right here. All right, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Yes,
thanks for having me on, but I got to go pick up Wheelhouse Jr. at basketball practice. So
that's good, man. You take care of yourself. All right. Thanks for joining us,
guys.
All right, brother.
All right.
All right. We log him out or he logs out. There you
go.
All right, let's talk shit about it. No, I'm kidding. No, no, I'm kidding. No, let me change this back.
No Montero giving up a run.
Already?
No Montero giving up a home run.
No way.
Another shocking news: water is wet.
All right, we're back in.
Yeah,
Angels.
This game might be over already.
You know what this team needs right now? Jose Abreu.
Shit.
Oh, he's right now. He's like, what?
See,
get Uncle Mike back, bro.
Uncle Mike back.
The news about Abreu came out today, and we're getting shellacked. Coincidence?
Yeah.
I think not.
Honestly, just trade for Stanek and Netty's back.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that they never really. I feel like they never really addressed.
They never addressed it. They said like Abreu's gonna hold down the later innings, and then just Hader is gonna come in and save the day.
Abreu's gonna hold down 4 innings, and
that's what it seemed like. That's all they envisioned, because the whole fan base knew that Montero is not the guy that you want coming out of the bullpen. And
another Bagwell contract.
And in a situation where we're behind against a team we should beat in our division, who do you put out? Montero. And look, gives up a home run. His ERA is like 5. No, actually, it's not that bad. It's 3.43, but still.
Now, it's funny. Speaking of Montero, like, before you came on, we were talking about, if it doesn't work out with Abreu, I mean, it's looking that way. Do they, kind of wheel back a little bit of Bagwell's responsibilities and, like, privileges and whatnot? Because the Montero signing, that's him. Abreu, that's him. And they're looking like absolute terrible signings at this point.
But you could argue that Abreu was there in the 2022 championship, right?
No, we signed him.
He came out them after the fact. Mancini was the
Mancini was
the
one.
Was and he was shit too. But he got us that play.
That one play. All the man.
Build the statue already.
Build a statue. Build a Mancini statue. Doing this, grabbing the ball.
Right. Because after that, we won the World Series. We didn't have it. We did fire James Click. They didn't have a GM. That's when they gave Montero that ridiculous contract. That's when they gave Abreu that ridiculous contract.
Who was that basketball player that they put like a very small statue of him that looked kind of like it looked hilarious recently?
Allen Iverson.
I'm thinking of it like do that to Mancini. Make it a small version of it.
Did you see that? I saw it and I was cringing so hard, dude.
Yeah, that was fun. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I honestly going back to that. If this happens, which it looks like it will, where they're going to have to just cut the cord with Abreu, I think at that point you're like, all right, Bagwell. Houston loves you. You're a Houston legend. All that stuff, but you gotta.
Executive decisions. You're no longer part of this.
Okay, maybe the contract situation, but I feel like one of the biggest. I mean, not one of the biggest, but like a really big reason might be on the coach, Espada. Like,
I wanted to bring this up when Brett was still here. Like, I think with Espada, I don't get that fire, like that same, fighting for his guys. Like when he got tossed, a couple weeks back. Like it was the softest toss I've ever seen in my life. It was just they're just.
I'll just go.
Oh well, I guess you got a point. I believe. Like,
and I'm trying to think back at Dusty, right?
No, Dusty was passionate. Like if he was getting thrown out, he was getting thrown out for a reason.
He also made questionable decisions, especially within the lineup, all season long.
I mean, tells the spot, but
but it was never this bad. It was never because the pitching low key would carry sometimes, especially when the bats would just completely fall asleep.
Yeah,
but now we don't even have that. We don't even have that to fall back on. Like.
Well, Brett had mentioned, he's not a big fan of some of his father's bullpen decisions and some of his pitching choices. Like today, for example, Framber gives up 7 runs in an inning. He should have pulled him before.
Yeah, but then who do you put out there, though? That's the problem. Who the hell are you going to put out there?
Hunter Brown, let's go.
That part comes down to the GM, Jeff Bagwell, like the roster construction. Like you let all these relievers go and you don't bring anyone back. And the only person you sign is Hader. I'm like, this Hader's going to pitch 3 innings. Like, you don't let all those relievers leave because you don't have anybody on the roster that can eat up innings like that.
Your bullpen's also tired. That's the thing. Your bullpen's pretty exhausted.
Abreu comes back. Let's hope he has a solid series and a half. And you trade him back to the White Sox. You eat some of the contract, right? Because the White Sox are bad. We know this. But you trade him, a White Sox legend, you trade his ass back, and you get maybe 1 or 2 arms for the bullpen. Can't be worse than what we got going on right now, honestly.
And what's funny is that as y'all are saying this right now, the Astros chat is going off right now and saying Spada left him after he allowed a 3-run homer and then another homer and then another. So
3 homers back to back to back.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about, the managerial decisions. Like people will want to, question some of Dusty's decisions. Like it still produced results. With Espada, it's baffling and they're losing.
And it's baffling because maybe you do choose to do that, but not when your team is 21-26, dude. Not when you're 5 games under 500. You do that when you're like, 10, 15 games out of over 500, and then you go like, you know what? Let's just leave him in there, see what happens. Like maybe he can get out of it. Carlos is
it's kind of like with
God.
Right. Now it's kind of like with McCullers in the World Series. That one game where he was getting shellacked, but Dusty had nobody else. He basically said,
Just let him take
this game.
Just
Let him have this game so I can save my bullpen and save my other arms for the rest of the series, and it worked out. It's like some of his decisions at the time they don't see like they're great decisions, but they ended up working out and they produce results. With Espada's decision making, it's like it's baffling and it doesn't produce wins. Like. And then I don't know. Sometimes it feels like a rudderless ship. Like it's just. I know a lot of people said anyone could manage his team to a World Series to the ALCS. Like no, like it takes a special kind of manager to manage a team like this, and I don't think it's possible. I know most of us were excited for him getting hired, but like at this point in the season, it's like.
I mean, I wasn't necessarily excited. I just thought with everything like all the other options that were out there, I felt like somebody from inside wasn't the worst like. Interim management type of thing because we knew that these guys could actually hold it together, right? And maybe who knows? Maybe in a season after one whole season, maybe we can find out that maybe Spada is the guy to take us to the future. But with the last 50 games I've been, almost 40 something games, it's just like, what else can you do? You can't get rid of the players.
So
as much as I would love to try to get something out of Hunter Brown or Framber, like you can't really get rid of those guys. So what else can you do?
Wonder, like you brought up the fact that hey, maybe this isn't the season, but maybe the next one. How much? Like, yes, I do see where you guys are going with the Espada, and I do feel the same way too. Where I don't feel like that same energy that that you don't stick up for your players in a way, and that's what we see as perception, right? Now. What I'm wondering is, do you still see him coming back? No, given the fact that you had all the injuries that came in, both with the pitchers all around, do you still see him coming back next season after all that? Depending on how the record is.
I think it depends. Yes. I think it depends how this season ends. Like if they miss the playoffs, he's gone.
I feel like it depends on who they're thinking about hiring next.
Okay.
There should be some bigger names on the market next, some more experienced people on the market next year. It really depends how the season is. If they make a wild card and lose, I think he keeps his job another year. But if they miss the playoffs completely, he's gone because this team has way too much talent to miss the playoffs.
And that's
in a division this week. Like there's no excuse for missing the playoffs.
I mean, and that is another thing. People say like, "Oh, our division is weak." I mean, we do have the world champions in our division.
But they're 3 games above 500, and they're
But
and they're kind of in free fall right now.
Yeah, but we consider ourselves one of the strongest teams in the league, even though we've had such a crappy start. So I feel like this division is actually a lot better than it shows, and I feel like it's a difficult division. I mean, there's a reason why it got to the last day of the regular season last year for a winner to be decided, but it's just like. If you're the Astros, if you're the Rangers, if you're Seattle, all of these teams like trying to compete, are you looking to make big trades like coming up soon, like trying to rewrite the ship a little bit, or are we just because we all kind of suck, kind of not right now? Seattle's I think Seattle's still top of the division, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but they're not so much of a good team either.
Exactly. So like somebody's gonna like
it feels like it's open for
it's very open, and somebody's gonna miss it at the end of the season.
Yeah,
not everybody can make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, it's open for the taking. Right
exactly. Now. If there was like a definitive number 1 team, that it kind of makes the decision for you if you're an organization. But because it's still so wide open, if you're the Astros, are you looking to buy in right now, or are you just gonna let it roll and let the pieces fall where they may fall?
Well, I think with the Astros, they don't have a ton of assets as far as getting a big name. I think they probably signed some middle relievers because they're going to need some. They're going to need some arms in the post if they make it to the postseason. So I don't see them making a big splashy move. With the Rangers, they're kind of strapped for cash as far as cap space. Well, not cap space, but with the way they all the contracts they have, all those big name players they have, like they don't have the money to do it. The
Which we saw
Mariners, they
coming.
have some pieces, which everyone saw coming.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Mariners, they have stuff, but like again, they got to pay these. You have to pay Julio Rodriguez soon. You got to pay all those guys in their poaching, Luis Castillo, and all these other guys on the roster. You're gonna have to pay those guys pretty soon. Like they don't have a ton of wiggle room either. So I don't see any one of those three teams making any splashy signings for the deadline. Maybe some little pieces here and there, but nothing splashy.
And that's my question. If we all believe that nobody's is that gonna make one of those teams do it in order to like get an upper hand or try to get an upper hand on the other teams?
If anything, I could see obviously the Astros and the Mariners really competing. If the Astros can stay the same way, and not do things like this, and if they keep like they played against the Brewers. Okay, the Brewers are not doing too bad themselves, and they played a pretty decent game against them. Yeah, they lost one of the games, but they won the series. Brett made up a great point. Well, it's just the Brewers. The Brewers have been pretty decent. Cleveland, they're beating the hard teams. I mean, even not the last time, but the first time they went off against the Yankees, they put up a fight against the Yankees. Like
every game was close. It was just the bullpen giving up, it up.
If this can be fixed, and that's a big if, then again, this division is open for the taking. But the Astros would have to.
I mean, you say that, but the Mariners literally beat the Yankees today. So it's like we're losing against the Angels in an unforgivable fashion, giving up 7 runs in the 5th inning.
But again, that's what I'm saying. These types of decisions to keep Framber in after all that's a game-costing decision. Those are bonehead decisions, really. It's like, at that point, yes, I understand. I think he's trying to do the Dusty thing where, I'm going to leave my player in for a while. But at that point, it's like there's a fine line between leaving a player there for a while and you're really leaving that player on for a while and damaging a win that could have.
See, Manico, but what I'm trying to say is that what other option did he really have, though? Oh, Montero's warming up in the bullpen. Oh, that fills me with confidence,
I mean, I don't think he would have given us as many runs as Framber did.
Brother.
Once Framber gets rattled.
Montero, bro.
Montero had a pretty decent game last time.
But like Montero, ever since we won the last World Series, he's been the most consistent, like blowing out games, just giving them up like crazy since then. We know this. Like more than Maton, more than Stanek. They were actually pretty solid. Maton, shaky at times.
So let me ask you this. Would you have rather kept it this way where a homer after homer after homer and maybe not changed it?
No, my thing is like, I don't think that it was a decision that he had to make. I think it was a decision that was made for him because there's nothing in the bullpen for us to throw at a situation like this. Unless you want to pull Abreu, who's been shaky, like in the 5th inning, unless you want to maybe use a starter and put him in the bullpen like Hunter Brown, who hasn't been great, right? Urquidy with his injuries, McCullers, we don't know when he's gonna play again. I think the last time he played was like over a year and a half ago.
Yeah, last time he played was the World Series.
It's like, are you gonna like try to call somebody in from the AAA? I couldn't even tell you a single name that's down there that could actually try to make a difference, except JP France, who was sent down because he was so shaky. So it's like, yes, I don't think Espada is making the right decisions, but honestly, there's not a lot of decisions to be made as far as the platoon of players in the bullpen.
Well, that roster construction comes down to Bagwell and
exactly. So then, like, you have to either take this, keep rolling, letting the season play out, or you try to make a change. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Do the Astros try to make a trade to shake things up in the pitching staff, or is it just better to just let it play out?
I would say let it play out, just because you're going to have Luis Garcia come back. You're going to get Urquidy back at some point. McCullers,
Yeah. I think
Maybe we'll see.
you're gonna
I
start
think it's
getting
the thought process.
again, but they're gonna yeah. I'll agree with you on that one, Real. I think they're waiting it out to see once these guys come back and see what the actual startup the starters will look like, right? Yes, you get back Luis Garcia, you get back Jose Urquidy. I'm missing somebody here, another pitcher, or no? No, right?
McCullers, but like
McCullers.
McCullers.
Well, because supposedly July is the target date for him and Luis Garcia to come back.
Mhm.
It's gonna elaborate.
¿Qué pasó, Albert?
So that's what I said. If they do make moves, it's gonna be probably to find some middle relievers. I don't see them going for a starter because you're gonna get those two guys back.
Okay, but who do you give up on that? Like you just give up like prospects and cash for relievers, or are we actually trying to trade somebody from the lineup?
Well, they traded Pilak for some cash consideration, so I think if anything, probably a prospect and cash considerations for like a middle reliever. You wouldn't have to give up too much because you're not looking for a superstar. You're looking for a guy to eat up some innings.
What did we get from Jolks again?
I think did we trade him or did we DFA him?
Oh, I thought we traded him.
It was DFA, I believe.
Oh,
yeah.
They put him on assignment.
He's doing pretty good for the White Sox right now.
He had to play.
And it kind of sucked, but he plays in the outfield, and they have so much depth in the outfield. I mean, it was just a numbers game, really, with Jolks.
Shit, honestly, I wouldn't be mad if you would have put him at first base with how Rare was playing the first couple months of the season.
Yeah, but first base, it's a hard thing to do. A lot of people were trying to put
yeah, but I mean, if the defense wasn't going to be there with Abreu, Jolks at least was batting over 200.
Yeah, but at that point, Abreu was the best choice until they put John Singleton in there. That's what I'm saying. Like John Singleton is the best thing for first base that has happened. Really,
because he's giving you league average hitting and above average defenses, which is all you could ask for, considering how the season started at first base with Abreu.
That's correct.
I feel like first base is something that we're really gonna have to look into once the year is over.
There's been talks they might send Luperfield back to AAA to practice at first base, getting some actual game repetition at first base, and then bringing him back and having him at first base. But still, like that's a lot to ask for a young guy. That's
a lot of what ifs. That's a lot of what ifs.
So, yeah, at this point, it's like we're almost like a wait and see. We'll see what if they do anything by the trade deadline. Will Kyle Tucker get a contract this season? We don't know yet.
He should.
He should, because he's making a case for him to keep getting paid higher and higher and higher and higher. And then of course now you also wonder, you're looking for first baseman. What are you going to do with your third baseman?
Yeah. Well, I mean, with Bregman, the way the season started, like he was just losing money, but now that he's turned it around with the headband, I mean,
so
he might get a contract, but I don't know, because then Scott Boras is his agent, man. I think he's probably going to leave. And
but he should. Yeah, he should know that even when he leaves in free agency, he should know he's not going to get the amount of money he would have gotten at the beginning of the year, because he's just been shaky.
Well, I mean, it depends how the season ends, especially his season. It's depending.
It depends how it ends. Correct. Yeah, it depends how it ends. But right now, like he's probably him and his agent is probably looking into options outside of the Astros. They're like, I mean, yeah, you'll go over here, but is he really going to be competing? And B, is he really going to get that much of a pay day?
Exactly. All right. Well, we're going to find out as time goes on what goes on with the Astros and the organization. Will Kyle Tucker get signed? Will there be a splash trade during the before the trade deadline? We don't know. So we'll see
find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
All right, boys, that's going to be it for our show this week. Thank you, everybody that joined us or that is watching this episode at a later time. Again, don't forget to subscribe to us at our YouTube channel at JustFans22, and of course, follow our Instagram account at JustFansPod. We'll be back again next week with more Houston content creators as our series continues. And that's going to be it, gentlemen. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you when we see you. Peace.
Southwest A-League, Texas, throw down here and it's so infectious. We ride for the Houston Astros, Rockets, Dynamo, and them Texans. If you ain't never been down here, but rule number one, you gon' respect us. Just fans in my speakers, new one drop, they bout to bless us. I might right through the SWAT, playing just fans right through your spot. Look, and I don't know what you thought, but right here, dog, we gon' rep the squad. Got HU, I might fit it, then on my jersey, you gon' know.